Welcome to Switched On Thinking, a podcast that explores the real-world networking challenges faced by businesses of today and the future. Twice a month, we deliver insightful and informative analysis of the key role that networking technology plays in driving business success and ensuring business continuity. Switched On Thinking is brought to you by NETGEAR, delivering innovative networking solutions you can count on, so you can spend more time on what matters most, growing your business. Now, here's your host, acclaimed author and tech columnist, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Switched On Thinking podcast. Now, if you're tuning in for the very first time, in previous episodes, we have explored big topics such as Wi-Fi 6, how to upgrade your home network and ensure that your home office is not competing with bandwidth for Netflix and games consoles, especially when you want to make that important Zoom or Microsoft Teams call. And we've also talked about the versatility of power over Ethernet, and even learned how NETGEAR has helped Hawkeye deliver live sporting events and ensuring they run smoothly all over the world. But today, I want to explore the importance of smooth-running surveillance systems, whether that be in your home or your business. And I want to explore how SMBs in particular are adding surveillance systems, but without extreme cost implications, and also the impact it can have on an SMB, and all washed down with real-world examples. And today's guests are NETGEAR Project Manager Marynel Rapinan and Iphie Chen, Line Product Manager at NETGEAR, who are both going to join me on today's podcast to talk about all of this and also reveal a little bit more about Ultra 60 PoE++ and how PoE is evolving. But enough from me. Let's get today's guests onto the podcast right now. So welcome to the Switched On Thinking podcast. Can you begin by telling the listeners a little about yourself and your role at NETGEAR?
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Marynel, and I'm the product manager for Unmanaged and Smart Managed Plus switches here at NETGEAR. And I'm excited to be a part of this podcast today. And on the line, we also have my colleague, Iphie.
Hi, everyone. Very happy to be here today. My name is Iphie Chen. I'm the product line manager for Smart Managed Pro and Smart Cloud switches at NETGEAR.
Excellent. Thanks so much. And one of the reasons that I invited you both on the podcast today was to talk about how small, medium-sized businesses and indeed home users are all adding surveillance systems without extreme cost implications. Now, there is a misconception that it is expensive and cumbersome. And one of the reasons I invited you on here was to hopefully try and change that today. So can you tell me a little bit more about the kind of setups and costs involved with surveillance systems by your customers and maybe bust a few myths with me today?
There are three major parts of the cost for setting up a surveillance system: the device cost, the installation cost, and the security service cost. So first, the device cost. There is a basic surveillance kit, which usually includes 2 to 4 cameras and a network video recorder or any local or remote media storage. A much more higher-end surveillance kit can be a large-scale video management platform that includes thousands of cameras and access control system. So business users choose the scale of surveillance system based on the size of the business and the location and their security needs. There are many factors that make the cost of the surveillance cameras different, such as the resolution of the camera and advanced features like motion detection, night vision, etc., etc. Additionally, the users must decide whether they are going to use wireless, PoE-powered, or AC-powered cameras. There are several advantages and disadvantages, depending on the selection of the type of cameras. The simplest, the most reliable type of cameras are PoE-powered. This allows the user to have a wired connection to the camera for reliability, as well as to power the camera using just one cable, with no need to have a power outlet nearby. Second, the installation cost. The price for professional installation can vary drastically depending on system type and numbers of cameras. On top of the equipment costs, each camera will range between roughly $100 to $200 for professional installation. A system designed for DIY installation will cost nothing but time if you have the tools. Here again, though, using PoE-powered cameras will make the installation much easier. Finally, the security service cost. This is different from the initial installation cost. The security services might include upgrade fee, subscription fee of using a certain management tool, or monitored services such as smart home/office features like remote lighting, heating, or even door lock controls.
Thanks, Iphie. And Marynel, we're going to have people listening all over the world, especially from small to medium-sized businesses. So for those people listening, what kind of impact can it have on an SMB?
Yeah, so it's not a small investment in surveillance systems, especially for SMB customers with very tight budget. With this, customers can actually choose to save money by installing the cameras themselves, as you had mentioned above, if it's not too complicated for them.
And no matter how sophisticated the software and 4K cameras are, can you tell me a little bit more about how actually it's the network that plays the crucial role in having a smooth running surveillance system rather than the technology and the cameras where a lot of us focus?
The IP cameras receive control data and send image data via an IP network. So they usually require no local recording devices, only a local area network, we call LAN. And the network should be able to provide fast and reliable connectivity to this surveillance system to support the enormous data transfer constantly from and to the camera. If it's a converged network, it also needs to be able to prioritize the right kind of traffic. For example, the voice before data, the surveillance before data, etc. And camera technology has permitted an increase in the overall image resolution. While that is great to be able to see a better image, it results in a need for more bandwidth for each camera. The increase in resolution means a corresponding increase in the bandwidth required. To keep up with the increase, networks need to accommodate the bandwidth through faster access points and switches, but also by incorporating faster uplinks. For example, the 10 gig uplinks and even 100 gig uplinks, which helps accommodate these higher bandwidth needs.
And also additionally, the ability to separate the VLAN, also known as the virtual local area network, for IP cameras become a very common requirement of network for surveillance systems. So this is supported through our Smart Manage Plus switches, along with our Smart Pro Cloud switches and our other advanced switches. The administrators may logically actually group the end stations or end devices, which are independent from physical location or connection. So this allows them to refine or modify different traffic across the network more conveniently. This would also improve the stability of camera operation, and administrators can figure out the switch to give more priority to your IP camera traffic than users using the IEEE 802.1p. This ensures that if the bandwidth over a link is full, then the switch will process the packets in the VLAN with a higher priority first.
Now, recently on this podcast, we did do a special on power over Ethernet, and I think we brought everyone up to speed. So bearing that in mind, if we dare to look under the hood at the tech that makes all this possible, can you tell me a little bit more about how at NETGEAR you use this wide range of P over E switches alongside the usage of surveillance cameras? Because these two play a big part together, don't they?
Yeah, our NETGEAR SMB power over Ethernet switches provide wide range of PoE port count with networking speed of 100 megabits per second, 1 gigabit, 2.5 gigabit, 5 gigabit to 10 gigabit. So with many options of power budgets ranging from 47 watts to even 1,440 watts and everything in between, our SMB clients can choose the PoE switch model that works best for their current business needs and budget. With the largest portfolio of PoE switches in the industry, there's an option nearly any deployment.
And to add on to that, with NETGEAR's exclusive features like the Flex PoE on some of our products, We actually first introduced this with our unmanaged switches, and customers have the option to upgrade the PoE budget at a later time as their needs dictate, without having to rip and replace their PoE switch they purchased originally. Just as important as the richness of the power budget, the differentiated features set across the products categories will offer the right price value options to the client's needs. SMBs can go for a variety of categories such as unmanaged, Smart Managed Plus, Smart Managed Pro, Smart Cloud Managed, and fully managed switches based on their desired networking convergence and budget. As an innovative leader in the SMB networking business, NETGEAR always try to offer customers the latest technology and innovative features. For example, customers can schedule PoE to their most energy efficiency. Also, with the new NETGEAR switch management tool, it's called Insight, customers can power on and off, power cycle, reboot, and monitor connectivity throughput of devices connected to our Insight manageable PoE switches, as well as our other monitoring and management of switches themselves. And maybe later on, if you might touch more on the Insight management and our switches within that.
So from the outside looking in, as someone from outside of NETGEAR, one of the things that I'm fascinated by at the moment is how PoE is evolving. And one thing that I have noticed is NETGEAR does seem to be leading the change with Ultra 60 PoE++. I mean, but for anyone that is unfamiliar with that, can you tell me a little bit more about this and how the surveillance industry is moving away from that old grey inequality to a higher resolution connection with 4K and PTZ cameras?
Yeah. So as PoE is evolving, NETGEAR is setting the future trend in innovating more switches with higher power budget capability. So for instance, we actually just launched our unmanaged Ultra 60 PoE++ switches last week. There's about 4 of them, and there are GS500 series, and they can support power devices that need up to 60 watts, hence why we call them Ultra 60 PoE++. More and more devices are requiring more power budget, and it varies from connecting a variety of products such as PoE speakers, LED lighting, 4K, PTZ cameras, and etc. So our technology helps users move away from the old and grainy devices so they can use more advanced devices for better and higher quality features. And nowadays, the 4K cameras are, very trendy. So with our new technology of Ultra 60 PoE++, that can be supported by those products.
And something I feel I've got to ask here, because it is an incredibly crowded market out there at the moment. So can I ask what unique features like NETGEAR brings using these surveillance cameras compared to so many competitors out there? Because there's a big rush for this technology, isn't there?
Yeah, and as we mentioned a little while ago, the wide range of PoE switch portfolio is our biggest advantage for SMB owners to use for surveillance cameras. We have our switches portfolio is so huge, it could actually be very overwhelming. But with that, a lot of customers can actually always find the right model that fits their business networking needs. And also, besides the advanced PoE controls features that add unique value to surveillance system control. These features include advanced PoE power management, PoE scheduling, power cycle, dynamic PoE budget allocation, and priority setting, as well as uninterrupted PoE on our latest Ultra 60 PoE++ models. So of course, with all of the switches, we have a lot of the features that many of our customers can choose from based on their needs.
Yeah, moreover, all of these features that Marynel has mentioned can be set up through our NETGEAR Insight Cloud Management tool through the mobile app or the Insight web portal. The NETGEAR Insight Cloud Management provides the opportunity to do many tasks remotely that would otherwise require a person to go on the site. The cloud management of surveillance networks also enables 24/7 visibility with remote troubleshooting. This means that the administrators, the integrators, or even the end users can have multi-location, multi-site, and multi-role access to the network secured over the cloud.
And one thing that I'm noticing, of course, is we're all living in a digital world now of one-click Amazon checkouts. We can get a cab, a flight, a hotel, manage our entire home and our heating, all from our mobile device. And that is the standard expectation that we expect from every service or company now. So can you tell me a little bit more about how users can manage devices through their mobile too with NETGEAR?
Yes, we made the cloud management tool very simple and straightforward. The users need to use NETGEAR Insights Managed Switch and download the Insights app and to their mobile phone. In the app, the people can see the status of each port of each devices in each of their locations. They can name the port to the device name to help them memorize which port connects to which device. And when they want to monitor or manage the device settings, they just need to click through to the port that connected to that device and manipulate. There are many things that they can do through this mobile app, such as set up VLAN, change PoE schedule for any individual ports, set quality of security of services, and rate limits, and etc.
And something else that I think we customers also demand now is almost the simplification of everything, where we just expect to get whatever we need by a few clicks and everything to be intuitive almost and easy to follow. So for anyone listening to our conversation today that have heard about all the great technical aspects and what goes on under the hood and are interested in exploring the NETGEAR surveillance solution, can you possibly walk me through what they would need to get to set up and manage everything from their smartphone? Because also there's nothing worse than listening to a podcast like this, getting that box home and then running into a few problems and having to watch lots of YouTube videos. So can you just walk me through what they would need to get up and manage everything from their smartphone?
Yeah, I can walk it through, but of course it's better to see a visualized demonstration of it. So from NETGEAR, all they would need is to use one of our Insight Manageable PoE switches and ensure that the camera network, including the switch itself, has a connection to the internet. And even if they're not using PoE-powered cameras, just using an Insight remote cloud manageable switch to connect to the wired cameras, or using an Insight manageable NETGEAR access point for the wireless camera. So we'll still give users the ability to at least monitor the connection of the device to the network. But additionally, using a NETGEAR switch, they could remotely enable or disable the port that connects to the camera, connects the camera to the network as the first step of troubleshooting, as well as monitor the traffic through the port to know if the cameras are passing traffic or if they've completely stopped. And in our Insight Cloud Management tool, there's actually notification set up to send any notification of disconnection or device failure to your mobile phone, so that you can get the notification at the first time.
Excellent. And finally then, just to further bring this to life, do you have any case studies of your PoE switches for surveillance systems, just to maybe help listeners understand what that finished result could look like for them?
Yeah, we do have recently have a project for the state government of Telangana in India to establish a network of CCTV cameras across the city. A multicast support is needed on the switches that have to be installed for the surveillance cameras. Also, as the videos have to be streamed to multiple locations. So the switches have to support long-distance connectivity using the fibers. And the camera feeds have to be sent to the police station headquarters, which is like several main connect points. And NETGEAR is providing the wired infrastructure for this deployment, consisting of over 1,500 PoE switches of different port counts and speed and PoE budgets. The switches provide the necessary PoE power to the cameras, as well as the network connection and the ability to detect PoE on the end devices and dynamically manage power assignments and priority to the devices. The software features such as the VLAN access control list, auto voice and auto video VLAN, multicasting, and IGMP snooping are supposedly designed are purposely designed for converged networks where voice, video, and data are carried on a single network platform, just as this surveillance system network requirements. And the fanless designs of many of our PoE switches, including some models such as GS110 TPP and TP that is being used in this massive deployment, is also a great fit for places like police stations that are sensitive to the noise. As a result, the city surveillance team obtained the seamless power over Ethernet and optical fiber connectivity with their surveillance cameras. Moreover, the deployment of these switches to the varied locations were simple and straightforward thanks to the advanced features of the NETGEAR switches, which saved them significant time and cost.
Well, thank you so much to both of you for coming on here and bringing all this to life. But before I do let you go, a question I've got to ask is because you are two women with hugely successful careers in tech, and we do have people listening all over the world. So I was wondering, is there any advice or any tips for other women out there that are trying to move into the tech or networking industry that you could possibly pass on? And we'll start with you, Marynel, on that, if there is anything you can share.
Yeah, sure. So my piece of advice to women trying to move into the tech industry is to learn how to ask because it can open numerous doors from unexpected places. Also, if the tech industry is something that interests anyone, I would first suggest figuring out what you want to do, followed by industry research, because there are a variety of fields to choose from. And as far as my experiences, working in the tech industry is sort of inevitable, especially living in the Silicon Valley for quite some time. So there's a lot more options for me here. But of course, I think obviously trying to figure out what you want to do and researching that area is definitely helpful. And also trying to just get your foot in the door by, asking and reaching out to others will definitely help as well.
Absolutely. And Iphie, is there anything that springs to mind for you?
I completely agree with what Marynel just said. And to add on that, I think before you tap into this industry, ask yourself whether it is what you really want to do, and do you really have interest or even passion in working in technology industry. So I also believe that people can do it extremely well when they have when they're passionate about the things they are working on. So the passion, the interest will be the first that you want to make sure that you have in the job, the industry. And also after you enter this industry, I guess, is to quickly find what you are really good at, what's your strengths, and try to amplify your strengths and take advantage of it and use it very well in doing things, and also work really, really hard.
Fantastic advice. And finally then, before I let you go, I've got to ask, could you remind the listeners of where they can find out more information online about NETGEAR surveillance systems and anything that we've spoken about today? We
do have a PoE landing page where people can find everything about our NETGEAR business, PoE products, and their product selector filter so that they can figure out which switch is best for them. And the website for that is www.netgear.com/PoE. And we also have our page dedicated to our remote cloud management solution, which is www.netgear.com/insight. So for everything that we can find, it's pretty much on our NETGEAR website. We just have to navigate through them.
Excellent. Well, we covered so much ground in only 30 minutes today. But for me personally, just taking away our SMBs or adding surveillance systems without extreme cost and without those added implications and affordably, and of course, being able to manage everything from a smartphone is a huge step forward for me. But more than anything, just a big thank you for taking the time to come on here and share your stories with me today. Thanks again, both of you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
From a tech point of view, learning how PoE is evolving, and obviously how NETGEAR seems to be leading the way with this Ultra 60 PoE++ models. and also how Insight Cloud Management through mobile app and web portal enables all PoE per port control features to be managed remotely through app or portal on Insight manageable switches. And I appreciate that might be too techy for a lot of people. So from a high level, I enjoyed hearing about the unique features that NETGEAR is bringing using surveillance cameras, and most importantly, how easy it is to manage these devices through mobile. And with today's guest bringing real-world use cases of how it's done and how to get up and running, felt incredibly valuable to me too. So I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. And this is a relatively new podcast, so please, we ask you kindly to rate and review the show on whatever platform you listen to us. And please, tell your friends too if you think this content will be useful to them. But more than anything, just a big thank you for choosing to listen to the Switched On Thinking podcast by NETGEAR. And I invite you to join me again in 2 weeks' time, where we will once again discuss the latest innovations in business and network technology. So I'll see you then. Take care.